About 3 out of every 4 Americans are dissatisfied with how they look from time to time. It's normal, but some of these people take extreme measures to try and achieve their dream physique, often with gruesome consequences. So get ready for architectural abs, exploding arms, and, more private mishaps. It's gonna be a rough ride as we look at even more fake muscles that went seriously wrong. Finger licking good. I heard you want to get big, huh? Fitness influencers will tell you to eat more calories, but there is another way. Check this guy out. His biceps are so big, he can't even get his food into his mouth. So it's not because he's been eating his protein. No, he's used something called synthol. It's a pretty nasty concoction of oil, painkillers, and alcohol that's injected underneath the muscles. Some bodybuilders use small doses to give them a little extra boost before comps. Then, other people, like our swollen swindler here, use it to gain the appearance of huge muscles without putting in any of the work. Damn, the only thing oilier than those fingers are his horrifically swollen biceps. In recent years, synthol appears to have grown in popularity, much to the ire of the medical community. Videos of men with horribly swollen muscles can be found all over social media. Bro, I know they call it the bicep head, but yours is bigger than your actual head. This synthol user didn't stop with his arms either. He's been injecting his shoulders to the point that he looks like a Gundam. Instead of protecting the Earth's Federation from the Principality of Zeon, maybe he should focus on protecting himself. See, aside from the obvious physical deformities, synthol can cause many lifelong health complications, like nerve damage, artery damage, heart attacks, and strokes. And removing any damaged or dying tissues can require painful surgery. This stuff is no joke. And that's the thing, there are no shortcuts to getting in shape. Sadly, though, it's not the last time Old Oily will be making an appearance. But before we get stuck into that, why not pump a little love into those like and subscribe buttons? It's the only way to keep up to date with all of my amazing content. Go on, do it, or I'll make you do 1,000 push-ups for being a weenie. World's strongest con. They say no one man should have all that power, but I know someone who does. Let me introduce you to Khan Baba, real name Arbab Khizer Hayat Khan. Baba hails from Mardan in northern Pakistan. Standing at a colossal 6'5" and self-claiming to weigh in at an absolutely devastating 961 pounds, Big Baba is allegedly as heavy as a horse and is the self-anointed strongest man in the world. Sheesh. How's he so big? Well, the Don Baba says he eats 10,000 calories a day. His daily diet consists of 4 chickens, 36 eggs, 6.6 pounds of meat, and over 1.3 gallons of milk. Yikes, I don't want to be next in the bathroom after he's dropped a big Baba in there. Ugh. Baba says this farmstead of daily protein is the secret behind the unbelievable feats of strength he shows off on social media. He's shared videos of himself pulling 2 SUVs tied to his hair, holding a motorbike with his teeth, and, whatever you call this Call of Duty kill cam maneuver. He even claimed back in 2012 he lifted 11,000 pounds at a Japanese weightlifting comp. Yikes, this guy's the real deal. Yeah, except he's not. This is the laziest content I've ever seen. Supposedly, this is Babatron smashing through a wall. Yeah, because that looks so legit. But what about when he pulled those 2 cars? Well, take another look. The rope's slack. His Baba buddies are obviously in the driver's seat, and that 11,000-pound lift in Japan, there's no record of it ever happening. As for his size, come on. Baba is like 90% pillow suit to look extra big. Beneath all that stuffing, he's just a normal dude. There's no doubt that Baba is a fake. He's even admitted it in an interview, claiming he's just a character created to fulfill a lifelong dream of wrestling in the WWE. However, many gullible fans still believe the ruse, and to this day he's never posted himself without all that cushion. So, despite the admission, it seems he's trying to keep some element of the lie alive. What do you think? Is he a beefy fraud, or is he too deep in the character to know what's real anymore? Let me know down in the comments. Lily-livered loser. If you're fortunate enough to have never heard of Liver King, let me fill you in. Throughout the early 2020s, Liver King, real name Brian Johnson, gained millions of social media followers by preaching his unconventional lifestyle, diet, and training methods. Brian swore that by living what he called an ancestral lifestyle, you can attain his muscle-clad physique. Ancestral lifestyle, you ask? What's that? Well, it appears to involve not wearing clothes, not getting a haircut, eating copious amounts of raw liver, and animal cojones. In case you can't tell, I don't like this pastrami cowboy. See, Brian does practice what he preaches, but noshing raw liver and animal danglers isn't some long safeguarded mega secret to getting jacked. Want to know what is? Steroids. Brian's physique was achieved through modern medicines which increase the production of specific muscle-building proteins. I'm not saying Brian taking a little something to get an advantage is exactly wrong. Steroids are rife in the fitness industry. But this deli counter caveman consistently denied it and went on every podcast under the sun harking on about how his dumb lifestyle was the secret to his physique. Why? To sell supplements, workout plans, and a load of other nonsense by convincing his fans that being a doodah muncher was the key to his physique. He profited off of them. And reportedly, Brian was making around $100 million a year. Woo. I wanted to call this guy a jerk back in part 1, but there was no hard evidence. How that was about to change. In November 2022, YouTube royalty More Plates, More Dates released a major expose on this lily-livered fraud. He'd received an email from a bodybuilding coach who'd been contacted by Brian, outlining in explicit detail his elaborate drug stack. Turns out, Brian was spending an eye-watering $11,000 a month on the non-ancestral part of his lifestyle. He was forced to come out and admit the liver shtick was a scam and swallow a giant piece of humble pie, which, considering his usual diet, probably tasted quite nice. Still, that was in 2022. As he cleaned up his act since then, not really. After saying he was going clean, he's since admitted to going back on some of the meds. Now, transparency is great, but he's not being honest about everything. Brian continues to obscure the truth about whether his abs are real or not. Sometimes he says they're implants costing $10,000 apiece. Other times he says they've been etched by a surgeon who removed layers of fat between the skin and muscle to create more definition. Other times, still, he says he's joking. It's hard to trust anything he says. Now look, you can do whatever you want to your body. Brian trains hard and I won't take that away from him. However, his body is the marketing tool for the products he sells. His body costs hundreds of thousands of dollars and it's far from natural. He's the fitness Kardashians. You wouldn't buy workout plans from a guy who looked like this now, would you? Leggle up. Ladies, what's your must-have in a male partner? Now, if you believe social media, they've got to be 6'2" and earning a bajillion dollars a minute. Want to know what percentage of American men are over 6'2"? 6%. Still, my algorithm is cluttered with this dumb take. And for someone like Moses Gibson, it rocked his confidence. 41-year-old Moses said his 5'5" stature made it impossible to get a girlfriend. He was miserable. He'd tried everything from shoe lifts to dodgy medications and even consulted a spiritual healer, except none of it worked. In a last-ditch effort, Moses underwent an agonizing leg-lengthening procedure to make himself taller. In these procedures, surgeons cut through either the upper or lower leg bones before attaching a device which slowly moves the two ends of bone apart. A space opens up between the two ends and new bone grows in the gap. If you're thinking it sounds painful, it is. Many patients who've undergone the surgery say that the post-surgery lengthening procedure is excruciating. But was it worth it? For Moses, yeah. He spent over $170,000 on 2 leg lengthening procedures on his upper and lower legs, and he leapt from 5'5" to 5'10". Damn, that's dramatic. As for his confidence, he found a girlfriend, but hold up, $170,000? I'm not trying to rain on his parade, but Moses' height wasn't the reason he was unlucky in love. Sure, some women would have outright rejected him, but the real issue was that he believed his height was holding him back. Alright, the surgery was successful and he found love, and I love that for him, but he didn't need to be taller. He needed to work on that insecure voice in his head that told him he wasn't good enough. Also, Moses was one of the lucky ones. Not everyone who gets the surgery is so successful. A 22-year-old Chinese man who was insecure about his height had always dreamed of being taller, and finally traveled abroad in 2020 to get it done. However, his dream of hitting 5'9" became a nightmare after surgery complications left him with osteomyelitis, an infection in his bone marrow. He's now facing permanent disabilities and a huge amount of debt. And for what? A life confined to a chair? If anything, he's going to look shorter now and face bigger barriers. Look, I'm not saying life isn't harder for short kings, but you don't fix an insecure brain by getting rid of the thing it's fixating on. It'll just find something else to lock onto. And if the best solution has a risk of permanent disability, I think it's time to find someone to talk to before taking such extreme measures. Capiche? Double-cheeked up. Do you know what my favorite feature is on a lady? A great big pair of cheeks. I could gawp at those big wobblers all day. And frankly, I've never seen anyone with bigger cheeks than Ukrainian model Anastasia Pokreshchuk. Check these out. Oh, wait. You thought I meant... Please, no. Anastasia earned her huge social media following by posting videos of her heavily altered face. But she hasn't always looked like this. See, up until the age of 26, Anastasia looked no different from anyone else, and that bothered her. She's since lost track of just how many procedures or how many thousands of dollars it's taken to achieve her unique look. She's had cheek fillers, lip fillers, Botox, and even her jaw reshaped. Sheesh, that's a lot of work. Now, she's practically unrecognizable from her former self. Oh boy, here's a sticky situation. Anastasia looked great before, so it makes me sad that she felt like she needed extreme measures to be happy with herself. But I also think she can do whatever she wants with her body. And Anastasia says she's happy with the attention her self-described exotic look brings her. However, it's hard to comment on the psychological stability of someone willing to disfigure themselves to get famous. I'm not saying alterations and enhancements are bad, but where do you draw the line? I'm going in circles. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Hulk or bulk? All kids want to grow up to be their favorite superhero. Mine was Catwoman. Don't ask how I clean myself. But when Brazilian Romário dos Santos Alves was a boy, he dreamed of becoming the Hulk. The only issue was Romário was a scrawny kid, and that made him feel insecure. So as he got older, he began training at the gym, but he struggled to grow the bulging muscles of his comic book idol. Then, at the age of 15, Romario was introduced to synthol, and everything changed. He thought he could finally achieve the physique of his dreams and started injecting 4 milliliters of oil twice a week. Within just 9 months, his arms grew by a whopping 20%. Are you ready to see what they looked like? Ah, geez. Yeah, it doesn't look great, does it? And looks are only the start. As well as that bulbous physique, Romario developed breathing difficulties and became very lethargic. Turns out all that oil solidified in his muscles and was causing some serious issues. After consulting a doctor, things went from bad to worse when they recommended a, wait for it, double arm amputation. Whoa, that's devastating. However, miraculously, on the day of his surgery, the doctors changed their opinion. He was allowed to keep his arms, but his family demanded he stop injecting. And as far as I know, he has. Good on him. But Romario isn't the only person to become obsessed with the big green monster. This is Luis Carlos Jesus, also known as Luba Hulk. He's gained a pretty big following on social media for his insane physique and infectious dance moves. I can't lie, I kinda love his energy. But Luba says his immense physique is all natural. To maintain it, he eats plenty of couscous, salad, and around 30 eggs a day. Damn. According to the big man himself, that plus working out for almost 30 years led to him achieving this giant stature. But come on. Look, I'm all for big lubes spreading positivity and joy, but his massively inflated muscles are clearly another case of synthol abuse. It's easy to judge, so I won't, but I just feel sorry he felt the need to do it. If you're watching this, Lube Meister, you don't need that garbage. Impractical implants. Not everyone with dodgy muscles took the synthol shortcut. Some desperate dudes chose an even shorter option. After going through a messy divorce, one British man called Brett was feeling pretty down in the dumps. Emotionally, romantically, and worst of all, physically. So, he decided drastic measures were needed to fix his body image issues, and he'd always fancied having a much larger chest. And while you or I might hit the gym over a few months and do it naturally, Brett didn't think he had that kind of time. Instead, he got pectoral implants. Wait, chest implants on a dude? Hold up. See, female chest implants are bags of liquid silicone made to feel like soft tissue, as shown by our friend Anastasia here. Male implants, on the other hand, are blocks of flexible silicone made to look like muscle. The problem is, pec implants come with a very high rate of complication, much higher than the female procedure. Sure enough, Brett contracted a horrible infection that caused half his chest to swell to triple the size. Ouch. That looks painful, and doctors had to remove the implant, but that just left him looking wonky, so they removed the other implant too. Only there was a catch. Most of his natural tissue had already dissolved beneath it. Oh man, that's tough. Luckily, Brett can build his pecs back up the natural way, but it would have been a whole lot easier if he'd just put in the work from the start. Greg Valentino. Not all muscle enhancers are unwilling to put in the hard work. Bodybuilder Greg Valentino started lifting weights when he was just 13 years old and fell in love with gym life, training for a whopping 23 years. But as Big Grego got older, he struggled to keep up with the younger, juiced-up guys at the gym, and it began to get to him. Man, comparison is the thief of joy. So, Greg thought, if you can't beat him, join him, and began injecting some 3,000 milligrams of synthol every week. Soon, his biceps ballooned to a staggering 28 inches. However, it wasn't all good beneath the hood. Greg developed painful abscesses and swelling from injecting himself over and over again. Yet still, he carried on, until on one occasion, when reusing a needle, he managed to rupture one of the abscesses in his bicep. His arm near enough exploded, and all kinds of horrible fluids started pouring out of it. And that's horrific. He was rushed to the hospital to drain the excess fluid and remove the synthol, but don't fear, amazingly, he made a full recovery. Nowadays, he's gotten over his unhealthy obsession and is sporting a much more natural look. Woo! Here's to good health, Gregors. Yeah, buddy. It's hard to imagine extreme muscle measures could ever be worth it. However, bodybuilding icon Ronnie Coleman certainly thought they were. Sheesh, that's the biggest dude I've ever seen. Throughout his illustrious career, Ronnie won a staggering 26 International Fitness and Bodybuilding Federation titles. But Ronnie's colossal 300-pound stature and immense strength wasn't natural. He took a lot of steroids and pushed his body to its very limits. Back in 1996, during a heavy squat session, Ronnie suffered a herniated disc. Between each of your vertebrae is a squishy, rubbery disc, and these discs have soft, jelly-like centers. When a disc herniates, the jelly center pushes out through a tear in the rubbery exterior. Normal people would go see a doctor. Not Ronnie. Insanely, he lifted through the pain for the next 10 years. But that decision would prove costly. When he retired in 2006, his body was wrecked. It took 13 surgeries to fix various injuries, except they aggravated some of the tissues and left Ronnie wheelchair-bound. Look, I'm not calling Ronnie a fake, and I'm not saying some of his surgeries didn't have complications. However, he wouldn't have needed so much surgery if he'd just fixed the problem right away. His decision to ignore the injury, train through the pain, and fuel himself with dodgy substances left him way worse off than he needed to be. But there is good news. Ronnie has been having specialized physiotherapy and is beginning to gain back mobility. It's a long path, but one I'm happy to see him going down. Photoshop fails. Welcome back to the 98th Annual Be Amazed Photoshop Awards. I'm your host for this evening, Bartholomew Egbert. Thank you. It's time to announce this year's Worst Physique in Show nominees. Ready for some Photoshop fails? The nominees are: with a grand total of 10 abs, this 2000s heartthrob for his role in Par Abdominal Activity oofed. And you thought the corny tribal tat was bad enough. And for nominee number 2, Wreck-It Ralph. Wow, those hands could break more than the internet. Nominee number 3 is Avengers Disassemble. This guy wanted to look like the Hulk so much he bent the reality of space-time. Okay, the winner is Par Abdominal Activity. Congratulations. Come and collect your, what was that? Somebody help. It's Wreck-It Ralph and he's gone wild. Nevin in a Million Years. This is Nevin Ciganovic, a TV personality and GigaChad Bratz doll from Zagreb, Croatia. Back in 2017, he traveled to Iran for his third nose job. The simple procedure was meant to correct his septum, which is the bit of skin between your nostrils. But be amazed, the nose isn't a muscle. Blah, blah. It's not his nose that's of interest. After the surgery, Nevin awoke with an unexpected and uncomfortable feeling. His, little Nevin was standing at attention. Look, it happens. The problem Nevin had was it wouldn't go back down. Help? Big Nevin had developed priapism, which caused his member to stay in alert mode for 3 months solid. No pun intended. It took 3 surgeries, which cut into his and drained the through a hypodermic. Oh, good Lord, I've got tears in my eyes. Now, priapism is very unlikely. In Nevin's case, it was accidentally induced when a food supplement he was taking reacted with the painkillers used in the surgery. However, these cases are extremely rare. Thankfully, Nevin says everything down there's all back to normal now. But it's weird. All my childhood Bratz dolls were totally smooth down there. My sister's dolls. How'd they get into my room? And just like that, we've reached the end of the video. Which of those muscular mishaps shocked you the most? Make sure you leave a comment. And while you're at it, let me know if you want a part 3. Until next time, thanks for watching.